Okay, so continuing with the practice. Number 7 now. All right, 0 equals negative 8 p times x. Now this equation is a little bit tricky. What we're going to do is look at it from left to right. The 0 here is meant to confuse you. So the 0 here, we have to forget about it. What we really want to focus on is this side right here, right? And since we have an unknown and a known, or two unlike terms, p is a letter, we don't know what's in it. 5 we certainly know. Normally we do the brackets first, right? Anytime you have this type of equation, you do what's inside the brackets first. We cannot do what's inside the brackets, so we do the distributive property, or that is to say we multiply this number right here. Remember, when there's no sign to the right of a number, you assume it's a multiplication, right? This is a multiplication. So what you're saying is negative 8 times p minus 5. Since we can't do p minus 5, what we do is negative 8 times p and negative 8 times negative 5. So let's do that. Negative 8 times p equals negative 8p, right? Because it's really negative 8 times p. And negative 8 times negative 5. Two negatives make a positive, so that's plus 40 equals 0. Can't forget that 0. So we have to get the numbers on one side. We'll subtract 40 here, and we'll subtract 40 here, and we get negative 40 equals negative 8p. Now we've got to get rid of this negative 8 to find out, because we're really solving for the unknown, or we're solving for p, or we're solving for the variable. And to do that, well, p times negative 8 equals negative 8p. So negative 8p divided by negative 8 equals p, all right? And that gives us p equals 5. Am I right? Yes, I am. Moving on, number 8 now. Negative 55 equals 8 plus 7 times k minus 5. Normally we have to do what's in the brackets first, but we have an unknown and a known, or two unlike terms. So we have to use, this is really saying 7 times 8. When you see nothing between a number and the brackets, or a number and an unknown, it's a multiplication. So what we do is we're going to do 7 times k and then 7 times minus 5. So let's rewrite this equation. Can't do anything with this minus 55 yet. 8 plus 7 times k equals 7k. 7 times negative 5 equals negative 35. Now we can make a number out of these two, right? Because we can do 8 minus 35. It will give us 7k minus 27. That equals negative 55. And of course, if I want to get rid of this negative 27, I'll add 27. And I'll add 27 on this side. And I will get, they'll cancel out, right? 775, 7k. Well, that's bad math, but it doesn't matter. So we have here minus 55 plus 27. That gives us minus 28 equals 7k. So far, so good. So 7k is really 7 times k. So how do we get rid of this 7? Well, we divide by 7, right? Anything you multiply by 7, if you divide by 7, you'll get back to the original number. So we divide both sides by negative 7. And we get k equals negative 4, right? A negative divided by a positive equals a negative. Number 9. All right, negative 2 plus 2, 8x minus 7 equals negative 16. Okie dokie. Now, normally we're supposed to do what's inside the brackets, obviously. So 8x minus 7, we can't solve that. There's an unknown right here. So we cannot solve this problem. Anytime we're adding or subtracting, it has to be like terms or else it won't work. It's not the same thing as multiplying, where you can multiply unlike terms. So let's do this. We use the distributive property, or multiplying, right? So this 2 here, or if you want this positive 2 here, is positive 2 times 8x. So that's really 2 times 8 times x, right? That's 16x. And then positive 2 times negative 7 equals negative 14, right? Positive times a negative equals a negative. And of course, you carry over the 2. This is positive, remember? Equals negative 16. So negative 2 minus 14 equals 16x minus 16 equals negative 16. Can you see where we're going with this? I think you can, but if you don't, it doesn't matter. How do I get rid of this negative 16? I add 16 here, and I add 16 here. So I get 16x equals 0, right? Because minus 16 plus 16 equals 0. Now, anything multiplied by x that equals 0, x has to be 0, right? Now let's prove it. 16x divided by 16 over 16, that equals x equals 0 over 16. 0 over anything is 0. That's your answer. Number 10 now, number 10. Minus 3 minus 5n equals 12. This is very tricky. The minus sign is meant to confuse you. When you see this type of thing, minus bracket, what they're really saying is minus 1 times the contents of that bracket. That's what they're saying. That's very tricky. That is very, very tricky. So let's do it. Minus 1 times 3 equals minus 3. Minus 1 times minus 5n equals plus 5n equals 12. Getting rid of this minus 3, we add 3, of course. Boom. So we get 5n equals 15. And then we divide by n by 5. This cancels out. 15 divided by 5 equals 3. N equals 3. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. 11. Notice that if you go see my problems 1 to 6, I explain things a lot in larger form, and I reduce the redundant explanations as the exercises go on. So if ever you find I'm skipping steps, go back to number 1, or just leave a comment and maybe I'll redo the video and put more steps if everyone's really confused. Minus 21x plus 12 equals minus 6 minus 3x. Okie dokie. So what I'm going to do is, this problem is set up for you to combine like terms. Now this is a like term, right? And this bugger here is a like term because it's something multiplied by x. This is something multiplied by x. Remember, minus 21x is really minus 21 times x, right? So let's do this. Minus 3x here, I'd have to add 3x on both sides. And I would get, what is that? Minus 18x plus 12 equals minus 6. So here, to get rid of the 12, I do minus 12 on both sides, and I get minus 18x equals minus 18, right? Minus 8 minus 12 equals minus 18. So here, looks hard, doesn't it? But it isn't. Minus 18x, to get minus 18x, I had to do x times minus 18. And if I want to get rid of the minus 18, I have to subtract by minus 18. And not subtract, divide, sorry. So I'm dividing. Boom. Cross these guys out. They're the same number. So that gives you 1x equals 1, or just x equals 1. Right? We never say 1x, we just say x. And that is the answer to number 11. Number 12. Number 12 minus 3n. Fudge. Number 12 minus 3n minus 27 equals minus 27 minus 3n. Yeah, I'm using this Wacom pad and it has buttons on it. It's making it very difficult to write well. I'm not very satisfied with this setup. I wish Apple would make the pen for this. All right, so once again, this looks like a trick question because like if I were to put all the positives to one side, I'd go like this, right? I'd go plus 27 here, plus 27 here, and I get minus 3n, this crosses out, equals, this crosses out, minus 3n. Now if I want to get the minus 3, get rid of the minus 3, I'm going to divide both sides by minus 3. Then I just get n equals n. That's a trick question. What is n equal to? It can be equal to anything, because if I put n equals 1, I get 1 equals 1. If I put n equals minus 28, minus 28 is equal to minus 28 because n equals n. So it's all real numbers. (13) minus 1 minus 7m equals 8. M plus 7. All right. So what do we do? What do we do? Well, I'm going to take this 8m and put it on all the m's on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 8m here and add 8m here. I'm going to take this negative one, I'm going to stick it on the other side. So plus 1 here, plus 1 here. So what I get is minus 7m plus 8m equals m. This cancels out, this cancels out. 7 plus 1 equals 8, m equals 8. Does that make sense? Am I tripping? Yes, that's good. That's a good answer. I think I went over that one a bit fast. Let me do it over again. If I look at minus 1 minus 7m equals minus 8m plus 7. Okay, let me just rewrite this. Here, what I did here was I did 2 steps in one, and maybe I should do it slower for it to be clear. What I did was I need to put all the m's on one side and all the numbers on the other, so that way I'll find out what m means eventually. So what I did was I took this m here and I put it on this side. It could have been the other way around. I just did it because whatever. So I'm going to add 8m here to cancel the minus 8m, right? 8 of something minus 8 of the same thing equals 0. So this cancels out. I have to add 8m, or 8 of something, and subtract minus 7 of something, which will give me 1 of something, or just m, if that makes sense. So this is what I'm left with. And I got to take this number and put it on this side because I'm solving for m. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 on both sides, and that will give me m equals 8. And that's the answer. So we're going to continue on the next video.